Hello, welcome to Lazada Insider, featuring knowledge that makes a difference. We share trusted insights, forward looking perspectives, and exclusive expert interviews to keep you ahead of the curve.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lazada Insider Earth Day Special Series. I'm your host, Casey from Lazada. With sustainability becoming a more widely recognized concept, businesses that want to adopt sustainable practices are often finding it challenging to implement them. What can be done to bridge that gap? Today, we are glad to have Paul, Sustainability and Innovation Lead from PALO IT, and Carolin, founder of susGain, here to share their insights on how companies can make a successful sustainable transformation. Welcome both.
Hi,
Hello,
thank you very much.
happy to be here.
Before we begin, could you let our audience know more about you? Paul, would you like to go first?
Sure, I work for PALO IT. We are a global innovation transformation consultancy and agile software development company. So our core purpose is embracing tech as a force for good. We help clients innovate, transform, and build technology in order to change their internal culture, processes, and products to services. I'm in sustainability and innovation lead, so driving our sustainability offering internally, maximizing the impact that we can have with our clients in supporting, coaching, consulting their transformation with sustainability, as well as connecting across community and ecosystem on the subject of sustainability in general.
Great. Carolyn?
Yes, sure. Hi, I'm Caroline. I run a B Corp certified social enterprise called susGain, and we have created an app that focuses on driving sustainable behavior change. So our gamified susGain rewards app can help you to practice more eco and socially conscious lifestyle habits. And we also work a lot with corporates and schools to support their green efforts in running customized sustainability programs and also measure the impact created.
That sounds fantastic. So, Carolyn, what is sustainable transformation and why is it important?
Yeah, so well, by now I guess we all know that we have major environmental and social issues. And so most of us also agree that something needs to be done, right? But what we struggle with is really the what and the how. So my definition of sustainable transformation would be looking into how can we run our business in a more sustainable way, and what are the little things or the low-hanging fruits we can get started with. So to give you an example, if you're an SME in the, let's say, dropshipping business, you might ask yourself, what suppliers are we working with? Which materials are we using? How are our goods being packaged? Is there a way to shorten supply routes, etc., right? And of course, depending on the nature of the SME you're working in, these questions may be different. But in general, we will always look into what's the impact of your business on, first of all, carbon footprint, the waste that's being created and how it's managed, and its social and community impact. So in a nutshell, these three areas are essentially the definition of sustainability, right? Also, when we look at transformation at susGain, for us, we are working a lot with the different stakeholders, the individuals, SMEs, MNCs, NGOs, and our role would be to put them back into the driving seat and connecting them with each other, so that it's easier to like start collaboration and to look at what are the little easy to implement steps that can contribute to reducing waste, becoming more carbon conscious, and looking after our community.
Great, great. So it's indeed important, to take the very first step for every company. So Paul, what triggers the sustainable transformation for PALO IT and some of your clients?
Okay, triggers. So I might start also, looking at transformation generally, having supported organizations with change and transformation for close to 2 decades. And it often comes back to this essence of strategically changing the status quo. So it's, more of a radical update to a paradigm shift, not just little bit of learning or changing around the edges. Sometimes this visage, image of a butterfly transforming, is used. So it's actually change internal and external. And for a lot of organizations, there can be a mix of push and pull factors. So pushing away from a problem or a pain point and pulling towards an opportunity or a gain. And I think, as Caroline articulated, a sustainability agenda with so many challenges, social, environmental, and economical. There's a lot of, various factors with various triggers that are kind of coming together and creating a real need for this. So for PALO IT, actually the company was founded largely out of the agility movement, business agility and tech agility movement, which was based on very human-centric values for greater collaboration, autonomy of, small teams, innovation, continuous learning. And so around 6 years ago, the company updated its mission statement. So again, it went for a radical change to say we want to be focused purely on tech as a force for good. And there's various things, that we've done on our own internal transformation and then supporting clients with that also. I think there's such a strong burning platform for change, you could say, with the environmental challenge. That is a key driver, reducing carbon. We've just recently seen the latest IPCC report, come out and put extra emphasis, if there hasn't been enough emphasis already, we need to reduce carbon emissions by 45 to 50% by 2030. And so this is a key driver for a lot of organizations. But the science also shows that we have 9 planetary boundaries and climate change is just one of them. So, biodiversity, clean water, pollution, these are all drivers, social change, fair and just kind of social systems are putting a lot of emphasis. So generally we see consumer pressure, increasingly, it varies a little bit depending on region, but this is an increasing trend. Consumers are willing to pay more money for sustainable products. That's increasing globally. Consumers are putting more pressures on companies and brands to actually lead the way, to educate, to inform, to engage around the subject. We're seeing regulatory change. Singapore alone, they're updating their carbon tax from $5 a ton of carbon to $25 a carbon in the next couple of years, and then it's going up to between 50 and 80 tons. So that's a trend. So regulation, multilateral agreements. So you had the United Nations, IPC report, the Paris Agreement, the SDGs. These are all countries now that are coming together and signing, putting great pressure. That's now kind of like this trickle down movement. So there's a lot of pressure for organizations. It's coming from all regions. Sometimes it's driven by values and purpose and principles as well. We often talk about Ray Anderson's example from the 90s with Interface Inc. that is one of the progressive thought leaders in the space. He talks about reading a book and having this spear to the heart moment. And so some awareness around the subject, some really understanding the critical need for this can just be a personal leadership value to say, actually, I can start, rather than being reactive, to compliance and regulatory change, I can actually take a lead and be a leading kind of contributor and build resilience into my organization so that I'm not left behind.
So are there any frameworks available for SMEs to operationalize sustainable transformation and cultural changes?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think there are various frameworks. One that jumps to my mind very quickly is sometimes labeled the 5 R's, which came from the zero waste movement, over the last 20 years and is resurfacing and becoming quite impactful. And this is almost in chronological order of sort of importance and starting points. So the first one, which is overlaid now, is rethink. So we need to update our mindsets, our awareness around the complex subjects around sustainability, completely change the way that we think about the world, our economic systems, the products, the pollution that we're putting out into the world, the products that we're putting out into how we engage as an international and local community. So rethink, then refuse. Do I actually even need to do this activity? Do I need to put out this product? Do I need the 3rd or the 4th layer of packaging? Refusing some of these items, reducing the energy and the material impact out to the world. So thinking as much as possible where we have these reduction. It could be reduction of CO2, reduction of energy, reduction of waste, water, lots of reductionist activity happening at the moment. And then reuse, so actually keeping products and materials in our economic system as long as possible. So this could be, the type of products that we're using that aren't just throwaway. Maybe we update our product portfolio a little bit. Maybe we innovate. Maybe we engage with our supply chain, our suppliers, in order to be able to put reusable products. This is creating a lot of opportunity for businesses as well to create secondary markets. We see a lot of like high-end fashion, automobile industries, for example, innovating with technology to keep products alive rather than putting them to waste and into incineration. And then the final one is recycle, as kind of a last effort. If not rotting, and putting back into the ground in a kind of regenerative way. But our recycling levels are very low, so it's something that we do drastically need to improve. So that's one kind of guiding framework. PALO IT has a transformation framework that we guide. So again, if you're having support from coaches, from consultancies, often they'll have a method that typically can be a process of getting clarity on why and the real reason for change, getting commitment at all levels of the organization, understanding your current state, doing some baseline assessments, visioning the future ideal state and then maybe the next step, and then also executing with agility and high delivery ways of working, as well as updating the culture, embedding the mindset and the elements. I might also point to B Corp as a great framework for assessing, becoming certified, joining a community around businesses as a force for good. PALO IT was the first Singaporean tech B Corp certified company, and it's a huge movement in the US and in Europe. And so that has some guiding criteria. We've used it to quite good effect to hold ourselves to account as a company, and also to learn and engage with the broader community.
Great. These are helpful references for companies to start their sustainability transformation journey. So technology can also be a powerful tool to accelerate sustainable transformation. And we understand susGain has developed an app aimed at promoting more sustainable behaviors among employees within organizations. Could you tell us more about it, Carolin?
Yes, sure. So, corporates often come to us with problem statements such as, we need to reduce the waste generated in our office. But then they say we are stuck, right? So they tell us, we came up with a waste reduction strategy. We put up recycling bins on all of the floors. We hung up posters. Maybe we provided our employees with reusable lunch boxes, but it's not working. Our waste generated is just rather increasing than going down. So what are we doing wrong, or what shall we do, right? So the thing is that implementing new sustainability initiatives is a change management process. And I'm sure Paul will understand this very well, right? So it requires individuals to be engaged, to change habits, and ultimately form new behaviors. And so at susGain, we consider ourselves almost like a fitness trainer to help people kickstart this process, right? So what the app does, it nudges you to do micro tasks. For example, in the context of recycling, it might be uploading a picture of the item that you're recycling and then getting feedback on whether it's the right item, whether you did it correctly, and then ping, you earn points for it. For recycling, oftentimes we see actually it's not a matter of people don't wanting to do it, but it's a matter of not knowing how to do it right. So by getting feedback on whether you do it right, you can build your confidence in recycling correctly. And also now doing something as mundane as recycling becomes almost like a Pokemon Go experience where you learn how to recycle right and you get rewarded and you feel good every time you do it. So with that, we kind of help, even turn like maybe boring sustainability reports that organizations have into fun quizzes, or we encourage staff to take the stairs instead of the lift, right? So all of these little items or activities might not sound much, but if you consider them combined and done by hundreds of employees in an organization, they do actually make a difference. So also, as we drive transformation in organizations, we feel we need to help everybody to come together. So we create customized communities inside the app where the employees learn how, what are our joint community goals, what are we working on as an organization, and then how they, with their individual actions, can be part of it. And then in teams, they can compete with each other on little challenges to basically support the goals, and at the same time also for themselves unlock some extra rewards or win prizes, right? And this can be sometimes even things like getting additional time off or getting a voucher for the cafeteria, right? Something that's meaningful for the employees. So with that, basically we turn sustainability transformation projects into fun team bonding experiences. And at the same time, we also measure the impact that we are creating. And with that data that we are getting through running these projects, we also get a lot of insights on what is working, what is not so working so well, how can we further improve so that we keep getting better in what we do. So in a nutshell, this is what we do. Yeah, thanks.
That sounds very fun. So, Paul, is there any other technology that can be leveraged to accelerate sustainable transformation?
Yeah, I love what Carolin and susGain is doing, because it's gamifying. It's using technology to gamify, to incentivize, to energize, to create social interaction around this. I was recently reading a report from a coffee organization that incentivized their customers to recycle some of their coffee products, and they gamified it through prize draws. And even their data showed, even when they removed the prize draws, the recycling levels remained the same. So it just shows that actually you can internalize the habit, but sometimes we need that little bit of support to get going. At PALO IT, we've come to look at it in a couple of ways. One, there is sustainability by IT, so how technology can support the improving our sustainable future, and then sustainability of IT. And I mentioned the latter one as well, because it's really important that sustainability sometimes does have a cost. We think about virtual work, working in the cloud, working online, but actually there are 34 billion devices now worldwide. There's infrastructure, there's data centers, the data traffic. And so whilst IT itself accounts only for 4% of global CO2 emissions, it's actually growing at 6 to 8% a year, and therefore it's expected to double within the next decade. So this is another area that we need to get a grapple on. But a lot of the science and the research, including international reports like IPCC, shows that IT is actually playing a really important role. It's part of the solution. It's not the entire solution. Part of it is actually reducing and minimizing and getting closer back to nature. But areas where tech is supporting, things like actually helping to measure and reduce our carbon and energy and waste and pollution. There are innovative technologies that are supporting in the supply chain, from transportation, where CO2 and energy can be quite heavy. We see the electric vehicle movements, all the way through to improving tech around end of life and kind of removing things going into waste and pollution. But for smaller sort of organizations, there are there are increasingly tools online that are helping to measure and understand around the subject. Technology is helping with our learning. There's lots of online free learning modules now that are becoming available. So actually learning online, connecting with internationally around the subject. The fact that we're able to have this conversation virtually and not travel into an office, to record it or to work, I think is one key thing. We do need to keep in mind that sometimes, we're all sitting at home now. We've all got our aircon on. We're accessing the fridge and cooking and having kettles for tea. Then we need to really understand the holistic picture, and are we having a detrimental benefit or a cost? Technology in terms of connecting us across our supply chain and stakeholders is a key big area. And then some innovative technology like blockchain is really coming in and being quite disruptive around building trust against complex systems, decentralizing power, giving agency to people, building security and resilience into the system. So those are a few key areas where I'd see technology playing a part.
So here's my last question for the both of you. What are some practical tips for SMEs looking to embark on a sustainable transformation journey? Carolin, would you like to go first?
Sure. Maybe I have only one tip, which is start small. Really, this kind of transformation is a marathon and not a sprint. And it's really advisable to start to identify first which are the low-hanging fruits, the things that are easy to implement but yet have a meaningful impact. So, for example, it might be maybe considering to offer your clients a package-free option or getting your team to do some community work, etc. But it's really about, doing something that you can commit to over a long, sustained period of time and that you can follow through so that you can, I would say, generate positive results very early on which give you the boost and the confidence and the maybe also stakeholder support to keep going and tackling more complex problems that you might face. Because I think sustainability inevitably comes with a lot of complexity, and oftentimes we tend to overload ourselves and want to start with the maybe biggest problem in the first place, and then we kind of get stuck. We don't manage to get through, and then we put this all overboard altogether. So I think really taking it step by step, taking it slow, trying to do the things that are like easy to implement first, and then slowly building on it would be my one recommendation. I'm sure Paul has more.
I mean, I fundamentally agree. Yeah, start small. Start now. The trend is only going in one direction. Some of the regulatory pressure and things are hitting the larger companies more. Yeah, this is only going in one direction. And I think being on the forefront of it actually mitigates some of the risk as a company. Start now, start small. Yeah, we have this principle in the agility movement, ways of working, which is think big, start small, but learn fast. So, reduce those feedback loops, iterate, experiment. Try not to be overwhelmed. I would say it can be quite anxiety inducing, the whole subject, this poly crisis and world coming to an end type rhetoric is not always helpful. But I think whilst we need to face into the seriousness of that, there's also something around connecting into community and ecosystem and learning from others. We really need to invest in learning and awareness and shifting mindsets. So if you're an organization or a business leader, bring your organization, your staff, your colleagues on this journey. Look for opportunities to give them agency in the subject. Invest in some of their learning around the subject so they can bring ideas that's most connected to their work, that's most relevant to the market. I would say communicate with transparency. We have this term around green washing, but equally there is this term and phrase around green hushing, where organizations are increasingly worried because it's a complex subject and we might get it wrong or we might be called out. But I think if we embrace engaging our stakeholders and our customers with a level of confidence, be honest where we are on the journey. Nobody has all of the answers. Nobody's getting this right at the moment. Nobody's perfect. So I think, experiment, start now, communicate and engage with others, and just be honest and transparent around where we are on the journey. But maybe added to that is start with carbon. Right? Carbon is we need to get this below 1.5 degrees temperature increases, or not far from that. And there are some simple tools online, free and readily available. Reach out, we can help you with that. That can help you measure individually. It's a little bit more complex depending on the structure and size of your organization, but you can, and also tools that are looking at your IT, carbon estate, and so specific areas of your business. But yeah, start building your awareness around that and just really think around how we can contribute to the carbon reductions and building awareness and kind of community as we go.
Great. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you, Paul and Carolin, for the wonderful insights shared.
Really nice chatting. Thanks for having us.
It was a lovely session. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for joining Lazada Insider.
This is Lazada Insider. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you click follow and subscribe so you don't miss our latest insights and expert interviews. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Lazada.